This is the skeleton NPC from BONELAB. Now, on the surface, this may just look like your regular video game skeleton NPC. Aggressive always? Check. Red eyes? Check. Defeated easily? Check. Leaks blood? Wait. What? Today I will be telling you about BONELAB's most mysterious NPC and the disturbing story behind it. A story that nobody could see, even though it was being told right in front of their eyes from the very beginning. But real quick, it'd mean the world to me if you guys join my Discord, please. You'll get constant updates on the videos and BONELAB movies I'm making, and I even set up polls so you guys can decide which content you want from my channel. Alright, back to your regularly scheduled program. Now, when I say this all starts at the very beginning, I mean the very beginning. I'm talking about Now, when loading into the first level of the game, Descent, we are greeted with this visual. Us as a polyblank avatar, staring into some sort of void mirror. Immediately thrown into the tutorial, we are shown a 6-sided dice and prompted to force grab it. And when we inevitably do, something weird happens. We are turned into a skeleton. A maybe shocking visual for first-time players. The first time I played, I just found it odd. Nevertheless, time to roll the dice and move on. After the iconic opening cutscene, we free ourselves from the noose and fall onto a pile of skeletons. Sorry, that's too vague. I meant dead, rotted bodies. Some are long dead, reduced to nothing but skeletons, and some seem more fresh. Nevertheless, one thing becomes abundantly clear. We aren't the first ones to be sentenced to death. Clearly they were all hung, and they didn't make it like we did. Except, why is there a skeleton reaching through the wall? If he was hung, he would already be dead by the time he got down here. So why was he able to crawl over and reach through the wall? Weird. Anyways, we continue on to find the 8 precepts of harmony in Heaven's Reach. More on this later. As we continue through the first level, we find a skeleton dead and dangling in a cage. The skeleton that crawled away was one thing, but this just seems weird now. As we move to the next room, we find... What is this? A skeleton seemingly strapped to the wall, being tortured with torture weapons that are in the room. This one, however, is alive, not long dead like the others. But it gets even weirder, because as we move to the next room, we find a completely sentient skeleton trying to hurt and attack you. So, just to recap, we have dead and rotted skeletons. Then we have the skeletons that seemingly made it out of the hanging, or something else entirely. Then we have the sentient skeleton, but it's restrained, and then we have the non-restrained, fully roaming, sentient skeleton. Not to mention us, also known as the very first form we take after the polyblank. So what does this all mean? Well, here's where my theory comes in. We all know that the pile of dead, rotted skeletons at the very bottom of the pit in Descent are successfully hung and executed people from Heaven's Reach. However, past this is where it gets really, really dark. I believe that the skeletons past this point, like the one reaching through the wall, the one in the cage, the one strapped to the wall, and the fully sentient one, are actually players who were not successfully hung, but saved by Jimmy, just like us. However, unlike us, they failed their mission and were caught and captured by the people of Heaven's Reach, which explains the one in the cage and the one strapped to the wall. As for the sentient ones that attack you, I believe that they were reprogrammed by Monogon themselves. This makes sense because Lava Gang is a team that is known to mess with Monogon because they like to. So, Monogon, seeing you through the surveillance cameras that randomly appear around the first level, they simply saw you for what you are, another recruit trying to join the team that's messing with them. It would make sense that they would reprogram sentient NPCs to attack you. But we don't know that the sentient skeletons are actually the dead people of Heaven's Reach. Right? Well, in the final level of BONELAB, titled Home, we see this. As we make our way through the town of Heaven's Reach, we see multiple graves surrounding us, and what comes out of them? You guessed it. Skeletons. Further proving our theory that the skeletons are the dead versions of the people from Heaven's Reach. But come on, the living people of Heaven's Reach wouldn't purposefully torture the skeletons that break the rules, right? Well, remember those 8 precepts of harmony I mentioned earlier? These are the 8 rules of Heaven's Reach. And as it should turn out, our main character broke the 8th rule. Rejection to all modification of body, mind, and environment. And we were hung, which proves that the people of Heaven's Reach punish individuals who break any of the 8 precepts of harmony. But how do we know this skeleton was being tortured because of that? It's not like there's a piece of text directly beside him that implies that he broke a rule. I wonder what they did. But I know what you're thinking. Come on. There's no way that Jimmy Wong sent other people from Heaven's Reach to just go and die, right? There is not a single line of dialogue that Jimmy Wong has said to maybe, just maybe, imply that he has done this kind of evil, that he's some sort of killer, right?
Whoa, there you are. Okay, you're pretty good, but you're still a player, and a player won't survive the ascent.
What? How do you know that a player won't survive the ascent? I know how, because you've tried, and you've tried again and again and again, killing player after player after player, and does none of this weigh on your consciousness, Jimmy? If the sentient skeletons weren't dead players being modified to turn against other players by Monogon, then why do they leak blood when you punch, hit, and shoot them? Jimmy is nothing but a stone-cold murderer. I rest my case.